We are joined now by Lithuania's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Linas Linkevičius. The minister has had an illustrious diplomatic career, serving as the ambassador to Belarus, twice the ambassador to Nato, Lithuania's Minister of National Defense, and a member of Parliament. Minister, we are a long way away from Washington and an even longer way away from Lithuania. Can you tell us why you're in Ohio today?
Not so long way from Washington, a very short flight. And frankly, we're usually visiting Washington, New York, but not so often going somewhere else. And it's also a good opportunity to go to the States, to meet leadership, business community, to discuss possibilities for closer cooperation. I will use this opportunity.
Okay. So you're here to talk NATO, is that correct?
Right.
This is an especially difficult time for NATO. There's sort of a changing political climate around the Atlantic and especially around trade. Can you talk about some of those challenges?
Well, I can talk very long because really we were celebrating 70th anniversary of the alliance. But at the same time, we also was very candid and frank discussion. And we really experiencing kind of stress tests for transatlantic unity, I would say, and to make sure that our alliance was the strongest in the history. It was a lot invested during the 70 years, but the future is not a given. And we have to really apply more efforts to make sure that it will remain as it was. And that was discussed. So it was celebrations and also very serious agenda for discussions, but meeting was very successful.
What is the importance for larger countries and bigger countries, larger countries and smaller countries that are part of NATO? Why is it important to keep that bond unified?
You know, NATO countries all over the world in this Euro-Atlantic space, almost billion population, half of the world's GDP. It's not just about defense and security, it's about values, first of all. And to defend values these years, it's not just empty slogan. It's really important. So this is a union of democracies. And if this union united strongly, really can be a very important player to prevent wars, also to spread some values, as I said, and also to help others to stand on their own road, according to their own decision. That's many things, and definitely, regardless, big or small. We are not big country, definitely. We are very proud, but we are definitely not big. But we understand that we also have this ownership of the future. And you cannot add tremendous value because you are small, but you can spoil the game if you're doing something wrong. So all big and small are important, and all big and small took decision after 9/11 upon request of United States, activate Article 5 of Washington Treaty, and we all joined fight with terrorists and send our soldiers. That was also not just symbolic, but I believe important, also looking into the future. Whatever challenges are growing, usually there are no borders for them. And we have to stay united in counter these threats and challenges, and that's exactly why we are NATO.
I want to talk about Russia a little bit. We have had, obviously, a lot of trouble with Russia in terms of interference, but Lithuania has had similar problems that I think a lot of people don't really know about. Could you talk about that?
No, I believe people know about Russia, regardless where they are, but we are in a neighborhood. And as it was Soviet Union, 50 years of our history, we were occupied. And recently, last year, we celebrated centennial, so 50 years of that were stolen by the history, by aggressors. So we really have much to say, but we also looking at today's events through the angle of history, legacy, our experience. And we see that Russia today behaving like, saber rattling around the globe, creating conflicts, frozen conflicts like in Transnistria, or active conflicts like in Ukraine, annexation of Crimea a few years ago, or annexation and occupation 20% of the territory of Georgia in 2008. So this is the country which really acting aggressively. And also, more to say, it's a permanent member of UN Security Council. Security Council which is supposed to be on guard of world peace order, but they are undermining that order. So what I'm saying, this is not just important for those who are living in the neighborhood, but this is precedent in the world. So why we have to stand united and really to counter all these malign behavior, so to say. Otherwise, we really will not use our potential. So we are not guilty for what is happening wrong in the world, but we should share our responsibility because we are capable to prevent, or capable at least to mitigate, capable to counter, and that's also something to be discussed in our midst.
I want to talk elections specifically. What type of threat do these sort of foreign outside forces infiltrating election systems, what sort of threat does that have on democracy?
I would say not only elections. Now, more and more, we're quite often talking about so-called hybrid threats or asymmetric threats. It's, regardless what you have in mind, but this is about energy security, about dependence on single source, strategic supplies of the energy resources. For some countries, it is very important. It was important to my country. Up to the year 2014, we were totally dependent on single source, and we isolated. Not anymore, after building LNG terminal in our seaport and relying on diversification of supplies, including from the United States. We believe that shale gas could be transported to Europe and also to our seaport. So this is something also we're going to discuss. Energy, as I said, cybersecurity, no need to convince this is important and growing threat. It has to do with the also meddling into the political system, into the elections. And you really can undermine also strategic communications. It could be big threat. And I would mention also strategic communications, scientifically speaking, but this is brainwashing machine. To brainwash people's minds becoming very popular. And there are some so-called TV channels like Russia Yesterday or Russia Today, it's whatever you can call. It's also very popular here in the United States. They are not spreading news, they are spreading propaganda and brainwashing people's minds. So this is also becoming a weapon. It's not tanks, not missiles, it's something else, but this something else should be accounted when we are reviewing our manuals, playbooks. This is also security. So understanding of security expanding, widening, becoming more holistic, and our methods to counter should be also quite smart. And that's to say, not just elections, as you mentioned, but more hybrid threats are really we are facing, and we have to take it very seriously, invest into that, share best practices.
You talked about propaganda and sort of infiltrating the media that we consume. And part of that befalls the consumer to be wise about sort of what information they can trust and what information they can't trust. What sort of efforts should we make to promote that?
It's all one more terminology we are now using, resilience. Yeah. So to be resilient, I believe the short version could be to be informed. It would be in not respect to you or to me if I would be prevented to watch some channels. That means that I'm so stupid that I cannot understand. No, but I should know that I should be careful. It's not necessarily true. Should verify various sources or whatever. So this resilience has to do with the information, awareness. And what we are doing in Lithuania also, trying to inform our people that, look, be careful. It's not always coming as it should be. And I'm very happy to say to you, maybe it would be new for you, but we have efforts not only by government, but also by NGOs, by media. By journalists. They're creating themselves a platform to debunk fake news and from potential sources, using IT solutions, artificial intelligence in the real time. And it works, So those who are spreading these fake news and spreading this propaganda should readjust, should change tactics, and this is a big deal for them. But the main point is that we understand, and I feel more confident when people know what is happening. If you are relaxed and taking for granted what's coming out of the screen, this is really quite dangerous, because finally, if you are not even interested in politics, which is normal thing, you can be consumer of something which can create some change of mindset inside you, and you will take part in the elections or take part in the decision making not in a very rational way.
You yourself are a former journalist, is that correct?
Self-made journalist. I like it, but not professional.
Okay. How have you seen sort of the landscape of information change?
As I said, it depends. By the way, very much depends on the environment. Some are more relaxed, some are more self-controlled, because media is also, very important profession. All professions are important. But here you have influence to the people. You are not elected, but somebody says fourth elected power, right? But you really have ability to spread the news and also to educate people, which is not the task of the media, education, right? But the responsibility should be self-censorship, should be very high level. And that should come through insight. Nobody can tell, nobody can teach. It's very dangerous to criticize media, but at the same time, we have to talk about that. That's important.
Finally, we have a large Lithuanian population here in Ohio. What is your message for them now that you're here?
I'm always using the opportunity to meet, to outreach to our so to say, community. They're living everywhere in the United States. The largest Lithuanian city, as we are kidding, is Chicago. But here also up to 25,000, I believe, Lithuanian roots here in Ohio. So my message is that all of you, all of us, are not too many in the world. 3 million in Lithuania, maybe some 1 million around the globe. All are needed to Lithuania. Whatever you're doing, being loyal to your country, which is obvious, but let's remember our roots. Let's get together when necessary. Let's do something for our motherland. That would be my message.
Okay. And you've got a busy day, so we're going to let you go. Minister, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be right back.